Hello, everyone. It is once again story time. I know we haven't had story time for a couple weeks because I have been, unfortunately, I have been with Sam up in Cleveland Clinic. So it's been kind of crazy for the last couple weeks, but I am back. And tonight is going to be a very, very special story. And hopefully, if you're not watching it live, you will be watching it later on as you catch it because we are going to have a Bible study. Actually, we're going to have a sermon series based on a Bible study by Matt Rawl called The Heart That Grew Three Sizes. And it is, of course, based on none other than the Grinch who stole Christmas. So I'm hoping that everyone will get a chance to read it so that they'll have kind of an idea of what I'm talking about come Sunday when we have our sermon time, when we have worship. So let's go ahead and uh, we will give it a little bit of, let's go ahead and give it a story. We'll see how this works. If it doesn't work, then of course we will at some point down the road have to re-record it. Um, and that's okay. That's all right. So let's go ahead with our story. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This is a brand new book. You can tell because the pages are not going real well. So this is a story by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small. There he is in his cave looking out. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at a warm lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then it growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew. Look at those pretty houses and trees. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise. Does your house look like that when you get up on Christmas morning? Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. Look at all the people sitting there. And then they'd do something he'd like least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And more the Grinch thought of his Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with this now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. Oh, look at that little smirk. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he clucked and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With his coat and this hat, I'd look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop old Grinch? No! The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Poor Max. There's the Santa suit. And there's poor Max with a horn on his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh. He hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. Poor Max. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop one," the old Grinch Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. There's his first house. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Look at that. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. It's a pretty sad looking tree now that he's got all the decorations off. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there. Then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child, then he patted her head and got her a drink so she went back to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Look at that. Can you believe it? That's not very nice. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Can you believe it? Oh. Then he did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. The poor little mouse. Crumbs were even too small for him. It was a quarter past dawn. All the Who's still in bed. All the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. Everything's on the sleigh. And poor Max is having to pull it. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. "Pooh-pooh" to the Who's, his Grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two when the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, "Boo-hoo!" "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. They're both listening, and that sled is right on the brink of going over. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He start he stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Look at his face. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came just the same. They're all there singing. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart, grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast. That's the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you on Sunday. If you have a chance, watch it again so that you know what we're talking about come Sunday morning when we start our series about the how the heart grew 3 sizes based on the Grinch. So I'm hoping that you'll join us either online or in person. Worship at Powhatan is at 9 a.m. and at Amity it's at 10:15. And I hope to see you there. I'll have some things up on Facebook for the kids so that they can take part in the service. Well, or have some things to do while the service is going on that are pertaining to the Grinch. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the story. I love you all. Be safe. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.